Before I tell you the story, I need you to do one thing. Watch until the very end. Because the twists in this case will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about love, trust, and justice. And if you haven't subscribed yet, hit that button, because you won't want to miss what's coming next. It started with a tearful video. A young woman, barely 22, appeared on TikTok, her mascara smudged, her voice trembling as she begged for help. "Please, if anyone's seen him, my boyfriend's missing," she cried, her hand shaking so badly that the phone nearly slipped from her grip. Within hours, her video went viral. Comments flooded in. People offered prayers, theories, and even volunteer search parties. But here's what no one knew then. That same girl, the one pleading for help, was hiding a secret so dark it would turn an entire town upside down. His name was Ethan Miller, 23 years old. He was the kind of guy everyone liked, the quiet one in the group, the one who never started drama, the one who worked 2 jobs just to help his mom pay off her mortgage. And then there was Samantha Hayes. Pretty, smart, and by all appearances, deeply in love with Ethan. Their TikTok videos together were sickeningly sweet, matching hoodies, date night montages, and captions like "My Forever." But behind the filters and perfect smiles, there were cracks. Friends would later say Samantha didn't just love Ethan. She obsessed over him. She tracked his location, scrolled through his phone, and flew into rages if he so much as liked another girl's Instagram post. At first, Ethan brushed it off. He told his best friend Marcus, "She just gets insecure sometimes. It's no big deal." But then things got worse. One night, Ethan came home with a bruise under his eye. He told everyone it was from playing basketball. His mother didn't buy it. She said his smile didn't reach his eyes anymore. He laughed less. He stopped hanging out with his friends. And yet, no one could have imagined what was coming. On March 14th, 2024, Ethan vanished. The last time anyone saw him, he was leaving Samantha's apartment. Security cameras caught him walking out of the building around 11:47 p.m. He looked tense. His hoodie was pulled tight around his face. He didn't glance back. By the next morning, Samantha was online, crying, begging, "If anyone has seen Ethan, please. I don't know what to do. I love him so much." Her videos racked up millions of views. She organized candlelight vigils. She handed out flyers with his face on them. She even spearheaded a volunteer search party, leading crowds through woods, parks, and empty streets with tears streaming down her face. And the public ate it up. They called her the devoted girlfriend. But detectives noticed something odd. When police asked her what Ethan was wearing the night he disappeared, she answered too quickly, too perfectly, as if she'd rehearsed it. When they asked her where she was that night, she claimed she'd been home, crying herself to sleep. But phone records later told a different story. The first break in the case came when Ethan's best friend Marcus went to the police. She hated him talking to anyone. Marcus said, "She once called me at 2 a.m. screaming because Ethan liked one of my sister's photos. She's not right." Investigators dug deeper. They subpoenaed Ethan's phone records, and that's when they found it. A string of text messages from Samantha to Ethan just hours before he vanished. "If you leave me, I'll make sure no one ever finds you." The messages sent a chill down the spine of every detective on the case. But they still had no body, no weapon, nothing solid enough to arrest her. That changed when a volunteer, one of the very people Samantha had recruited, found something in the woods. A hoodie. Ethan's hoodie. It was buried under a thin layer of leaves, stained dark and stiff with dried blood. When police confronted Samantha, she didn't cry this time. She didn't scream. She just stared at them, her face perfectly blank, as if every tear she'd shed online had been part of a performance. And then she asked for a lawyer. But here's where the story gets even darker. Detectives soon learned Samantha had searched some chilling things on her laptop. How to hide a body and not get caught. How long until someone is legally dead if missing? And worst of all, can love make you kill someone? Meanwhile, TikTok still hadn't turned on her. In fact, her follower count exploded. Her live streams, where she wept, begged, and prayed for Ethan's return, were pulling in tens of thousands of viewers. Some even donated money. And Samantha played the role perfectly. Until the day police found Ethan. It was a fisherman who spotted it. Something pale tangled in the reeds by the riverbank. It was Ethan. He had been stabbed. Repeatedly. And when detectives told Samantha they'd found him, she collapsed. Not out of grief, but out of sheer panic. Because inside Ethan's pocket, they found something that would blow this case wide open. A note, written in Ethan's handwriting. For words, "If I disappear." Samantha, the police arrested her that night. The internet exploded. People who once called her the grieving girlfriend now flooded her old videos with comments like, "We knew it," and Oscar-worthy performance. But when she was hauled into court, Samantha smiled, because she had one last card to play. Her attorney claimed Ethan's death wasn't murder. He called it an accident, a crime of passion, triggered by Ethan threatening to leave. He painted Samantha not as a monster, but as a broken, lovesick girl who just snapped. And unbelievably, some people believed her. The trial became a circus. The prosecution presented the texts, the bloody hoodie, Ethan's note. But Samantha's defense team countered with emotional outbursts, crying fits, and claims of mental illness. The jury was torn. Ethan's mother, sobbing in the front row, whispered to Marcus, "She's gonna get away with it. I can feel it." And then, on the fourth day of trial, something happened that no one saw coming. A woman stood up in the back of the courtroom. "I have proof," she said. Everyone turned. The judge banged his gavel for order. The woman held up a USB drive. "She told me everything," she said, "and I recorded it." And that is where the story truly explodes. Because on that drive was the one thing Samantha never wanted anyone to hear. Her confession. But the contents of that recording? They're even worse than anyone imagined. The courtroom was silent. Every camera was pointed at the woman holding the USB drive. She looked nervous but determined, her hands trembling as she handed it to the bailiff. Samantha's attorney objected immediately, shouting about inadmissible evidence and trial by ambush. But the judge overruled him. "Play it," the judge ordered. The room went dark as the screen flickered on. At first, there was only static. Then Samantha's voice. "If anyone finds this, I'm just kidding, huh?" A few people in the gallery actually laughed nervously, but then the tone changed. Samantha's voice grew sharper, colder. "He thinks he can leave me? No, no, he doesn't get to just walk away. He's mine, and if I can't have him, no one will." Gasps rippled through the courtroom. Ethan's mother clutched Marcus's hand so tightly her knuckles turned white. But the recording wasn't over. "When it's done, I'll make them all think I'm broken. I'll cry on TikTok, organize a search, they'll eat it up, and they'll never see it coming." The room exploded. Reporters scrambled for their phones. The prosecution's lead attorney turned to the jury and simply said, "Ladies and gentlemen, I rest my case." Samantha didn't flinch. She didn't cry. She didn't even look surprised. Instead, she smiled. The jury deliberated for 8 hours. When they returned, the foreman stood and cleared his throat. "We, the jury, find the defendant guilty of second-degree murder." Ethan's mother sobbed. Marcus closed his eyes and let out a breath he'd been holding for months. But as the judge prepared to sentence Samantha, something happened that would send this case spiraling into an even darker place. Samantha leaned forward and whispered something to her attorney. He nodded, stood, and addressed the court. "Your Honor," he said, "before sentencing, my client has one last statement." The judge hesitated, then nodded. Samantha rose. Her shackles clinked as she walked to the podium. She scanned the room, at the reporters, at Ethan's family, at the jury who'd just sealed her fate. And then she spoke. "You think this is over?" she said, her voice calm, almost amused. "It's not. You have no idea what you've started." The judge banged his gavel. "Ms. Hayes, that's enough." But Samantha only smiled wider. "Check the river," she said. The courtroom froze. Ethan's mother went pale. Marcus whispered, "What the hell is she talking about?" The prosecution demanded clarification, but Samantha didn't say another word. She just sat back down, smirking, as if she'd just planted a bomb in the middle of the room. The next morning, investigators sent divers into the river where Ethan's body had been found, and what they discovered changed everything. Buried beneath the silt and weeds was another body. A man. No ID. No missing persons report that matched his description. But he'd been dead for months, maybe years, and tucked inside his jacket pocket was a single note. 5 words. SH was here. Don't tell. Samantha Hayes. When police brought the news to the courtroom, Samantha laughed. Not a hysterical laugh, no. It was quiet, slow, controlled, like she'd been waiting for this moment all along. And for the first time since the trial began, even the judge looked rattled. Was Samantha Hayes just a jealous girlfriend who snapped? Or was she something else entirely? Something no one in that courtroom was prepared to face? Because if there was one body in that river, who's to say there weren't more? The courtroom was buzzing like a hive of hornets. The discovery of the second body had transformed Samantha's case from a tragic domestic murder into something far more sinister. The prosecution didn't even know what to call her now. Murderer? Predator? Serial killer? And then she asked to speak. The judge hesitated, but curiosity won. Very well, Miss Hayes, he said. You may address the court. But I warn you, any further outbursts will result in removal. Samantha stood, and she smiled. I told you, she began, her voice chillingly calm. You don't know the whole story. Reporters leaned forward. Ethan's mother clung to Marcus's arm. The jurors shifted uncomfortably, as if bracing for a storm. You all think I killed Ethan because I was jealous, she said, almost mockingly. You think I lost control, but I didn't lose anything. I planned it. I planned everything. The room went dead silent. Samantha tilted her head, studying the faces in the gallery like a predator enjoying the panic of its prey. That man in the river, she continued. He was just the beginning. The prosecutor slammed his fist on the table. Your Honor. But the judge didn't stop her. Not yet. He wanted to hear where this was going. And Samantha, she was enjoying every second. She turned to the jurors, her voice soft now, almost tender. You ever wonder why Ethan stayed with me? She asked. He wanted to leave. He tried. But I had something on him. Something none of you will ever know, unless I decide to tell you. Ethan's mother gasped. Marcus stood so abruptly his chair screeched against the floor. She's lying, he growled. She's. But then Samantha said it. Check his phone. Those 3 words changed everything. Detectives moved fast. They got a warrant, pulled Ethan's phone from evidence, and dug deeper than before. Buried in a hidden folder of encrypted files was a string of messages. Not between Ethan and Samantha, but between Ethan and the man they just pulled from the river. The man's name was Caleb Royce, and the messages painted a picture that stunned even the most seasoned investigators. Ethan owed Caleb money, not a little, thousands. And Caleb wasn't the kind of man you could afford to owe. He had a record. Assault, extortion, disappearances no one ever solved. And then one final message from Caleb to Ethan, just 3 weeks before Ethan vanished. If you don't pay me, she will. When detectives confronted Samantha, she didn't deny it. In fact, she laughed. Ethan thought he could run from Caleb, she said. But I took care of it. I fixed everything for him. And he still wanted to leave me. The room fell into stunned silence. Ethan's mother shook her head violently. No, she's lying. My son, he wasn't like that. But Samantha wasn't finished. You see, she said, her voice like ice. I didn't just kill Ethan because I loved him. I killed him because I knew eventually he was going to kill me first. And for the first time since her arrest, Samantha's smile faded. The judge ordered a recess. The courtroom exploded with whispers and shouts. If what Samantha was saying was true, then Ethan hadn't been as innocent as everyone thought. But if she was lying, it meant she was far more dangerous than anyone could imagine. That night, detectives dredged the river again, and when the divers came back to shore, they were carrying something. Not another body. Something worse. A rusted metal box. Inside it was a list. 12 names, all crossed out. And that was only the beginning, because at the very bottom of that list was a 13th name, written in fresh ink, a name that would change this case forever. The courtroom was no longer just a courtroom. It was an arena. The discovery of the box had set the world on fire. News stations ran headlines like "The River of Secrets" and "Samantha Hayes, Monster in Mascara." But the most haunting detail wasn't the box itself. It was the 13th name written in fresh ink. And it wasn't Ethan's. It was Marcus Carter, Ethan's best friend, the one who'd stood by his family, who'd begged police to investigate, who had been sitting in that courtroom every single day, glaring at Samantha like he wanted to burn her with his stare. When detectives showed him the box, Marcus nearly collapsed. "No," he said, shaking his head in disbelief. "She's playing you. This is another game." But Samantha only sat in her chair, shackled and smirking, like she'd been waiting for this exact moment. "Funny thing about Marcus," she said sweetly. "You loved me once too, didn't you, Marcus?" The room went dead quiet. Marcus's face drained of color. "She's lying," he shouted. "Don't you dare listen to her." But Samantha kept talking. "Oh, don't be shy. Tell them about the night after Ethan's birthday. The night you kissed me." Gasps. Ethan's mother stared at Marcus like she didn't even know him anymore. He turned to her, desperate. "It wasn't like that. She's twisting it." Samantha's laugh was sharp enough to cut glass. "Poor Marcus. Always so loyal. Always so stupid. Did you really think you were safe?" And that was the moment Marcus snapped. He lunged at her, but the bailiffs held him back. Samantha didn't even flinch, because she knew she had the room. The judge ordered a recess. Outside the courtroom, reporters swarmed Marcus, but he refused to speak. Meanwhile, prosecutors and detectives were in chaos. The box had 12 other names, most belonging to people who had vanished in the past 5 years. No one had connected the dots before, until now. And every name led back to one place, the river. The FBI was brought in. The courtroom was temporarily suspended. Samantha was transferred to a federal holding facility for questioning. But she didn't break. She didn't even ask for a lawyer this time. She only asked for an audience. "Bring them all," she said. "Ethan's family. Marcus. Everyone. I'll tell my story, but only once." And they gave her what she wanted. The room was packed when Samantha spoke again. Her voice was calm, almost hypnotic, as if she'd rehearsed this for years. "You think I'm crazy," she began, "but I'm not. I just understand the rules better than the rest of you. People hurt you, and the world does nothing. So I fixed it." She gestured toward the list of names. Every single one of them. They deserved it. Ethan's mother sobbed. The prosecutor slammed his hand down on the table. "This is a murder trial, not your personal manifesto," he barked. But Samantha ignored him. Caleb Royce, he wasn't just blackmailing Ethan. He was running girls across state lines. He made people disappear for money. No one stopped him. So I did. The room erupted in disbelief. "And Ethan," she continued, her smile fading. "Ethan was going to sell me out. He said he loved me, but he was going to trade me to Caleb just to clear his debt. I loved him anyway. But love doesn't make you blind. It makes you dangerous." Then she looked directly at Marcus. "You were next. Not because you kissed me, Marcus. No, because you told Ethan you'd go to the cops if he didn't come clean. And we both know what Caleb would have done if the cops came sniffing around." Marcus stared at her, trembling with rage. "You're sick," he spat. Samantha tilted her head. "No, I'm awake. The rest of you are asleep." The jury had heard enough. The prosecution painted her as a manipulative, calculating killer hiding behind a veil of self-righteous delusion. The defense, what little was left of it, crumbled under the weight of her confession. After 2 days of deliberation, the verdict was read. Guilty, on all counts. The judge sentenced her to life in prison without parole. But Samantha, she laughed, because even in chains, she'd gotten what she wanted. Everyone to hear her story. 2 weeks later, divers recovered 4 more bodies from the river. Each one matched a name from Samantha's list. Each one carried damning evidence linking them to crimes the police had never solved. And the world didn't know what to think anymore. Was Samantha Hayes a monster? Or was she something worse? A vigilante who decided that if the system wouldn't deliver justice, she would. Ethan's mother never forgave her. Marcus left town. And Samantha, from her prison cell, she started writing letters. Not to the court, not to her lawyers, to the families of the people she killed. Some of them wrote back. And the scariest part? Some of them thanked her. This case became a dark mirror, forcing everyone to ask themselves the same question. Where's the line between justice and vengeance? For Samantha, there was no line at all. And maybe that's why she never seemed afraid. Because in her mind, she'd already won. This story isn't just about Samantha Hayes. It's about the danger of obsession, the illusion of love, and what happens when people start believing the end justifies the means. Ethan ignored the red flags. Marcus stayed silent when he should have spoken out. And Samantha, she taught us what happens when you mix jealousy, control, and a twisted sense of morality. If there's one thing you should take from this, it's this. Evil doesn't always look like a monster. Sometimes it cries on TikTok, smiles in court, and convinces the world it's the victim. Don't ignore the signs. Don't excuse the danger, because people like Samantha count on it. And now, I want to hear from you. Do you think Samantha Hayes was pure evil? Or was she a broken woman who thought she was delivering justice in her own twisted way? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you want more stories that dig into the darkest corners of human nature, like this video, share it and subscribe, because next time, the story might be even darker. And trust me, you won't want to miss it.